The footage and audio in this video was used for criticism, commentary, and educational purposes under the rights of fair use. Oh boy, 3 months later, it's time for my yearly status quota of pissing off the community with my opinions towards a web show, usually involving me going, "Ooga booga, me no like this episode," and then the pitchforks rise. But for those who did come here for that, you're gonna be disappointed, because Death Battle Season 10 doesn't have any of that. Well, mostly. Because not only did they top the last 3 seasons, but somehow made one of the best modern seasons of the show since Season 6. With the last 3 seasons of Death Battle being severely hit or miss with most of its episodes. 10 is consistent across the board. Constantly fantastic, that is, making it stand out for not only the quality of its episodes, but the matchups themselves, being one of the most stacked lineups of all time. If you showed a casual this lineup 3 years ago, their brain would flash fry in disbelief. And yet, here we are, some of the most anticipated, highly requested, and badass ideas done in one season. Only leads to one thing, a top tier year. Only things I have to say are that these are just only my opinions, and of course, spoilers ahead. With that said, let's see what they have to offer with the ranking of Season 10.
I'm a bird.
Man, this sure was an episode that existed, alright. I'd say I forgot about it, but I'd be lying, because I did remember it. And now I have to talk about it. Yippee. I'm gonna keep it as simple as possible, because this episode is a snoozer. Most of the fight can be summed up with 2 words. Keys jangling. They try to do all these cool things, but it never amounts to anything. Like the scene in the hallway. You'd think it would lead to some cool mindfuckery between the Phoenix Force and Raven, but it's literally over right as the preview ends. How about this scene with them in space? You'd think they would lead to them flying through it, destroying planets or something. Instead, we get a slow scene with a moon yo-yo and a terrible frame rate. Might as well be a Terrarian backdrop at this point, because it does nothing for me. It's action goy slop. It's a style over substance episode, except it has no style to it. It's also not helped by the fact that the fight's pacing was atrocious, to the point where they had to rush through both transformation sequences. And hell, not even the frame rate wanted to go that fast. The sprites look awful, which is fucking jarring, especially when you realize every other sprite episode looks fantastic. And the dialogue ranges from Wonder Bread basic to absolute cringe.
I'm taking everything that twisted you to somewhere white, hot, pure!
That shit sucks. Damn.
I mean, fuck, dude. You know it's not a good episode when the Fairwolf track ain't hitting right. Oh, and it's not even correct. It's pretty obvious that most of the research for this episode was pulled from the G1 fan blog they did on this matchup a while ago, which, you know, wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that that blog had some very questionable things about it, and it just so happens too that the reasonings for Raven winning the episode were the exact same reasons for why Raven won that blog. There is a reason, though, why this episode was given the filler budget. If this didn't get it, then one of the other 2 Marvel vs. DC episodes would have, which would have been a complete waste. Hey, someone had to bite the bullet, and the Fire Rooster's ass is on the chopping block. Though you won't be seeing me enjoying this burnt, faded to black turkey Christmas dinner. I'll just take the Popeye special instead.
I'm home.
Oh look, another shocker. A matchup that I also don't like, with a character I do like at the bottom of the list. Call me Kingpin, because I'm utterly shocked. Flabbergasted, even. Just like Jean vs. Raven, Guts vs. Dimitri truly is the ultimate existing episode. But I am happy Guts finally came back. Mini-Me loved Berserk as a kid, and I've always wanted to see a run back for the Black Swordsman. While there were plenty of cool ideas for him, those other ideas being overall better for him, this was always inevitable. But to give it credit, Guts' treatment in the episode is very well done. They treat him in the analysis very seriously while also throwing in a lot of cool Berserk stuff, like this raw-ass panel, while also trying not to dive too heavily into spoilers, which I'm okay with. This care in turn is transferred over to the fight, because Guts has every single good scene in it, which there are not a lot of. The preview alone had 3 separate Berserk references: the forest fight with Griffith, the sword hop, and the 100 Men Strong reference. Besides that, there's really only 2 noteworthy scenes to call out: the 3D cannon scene with the bombs, and Moro giving his drawing talents for the Beast of Darkness. You can tell very clearly where their priorities were with this episode, because you may have noticed that all the things I listed here were related to Guts. Why is that? Because Dimitri takes a backseat in his own episode. Yeah, you thought this title was a joke? Nope. Unfortunately, it is way too true than it is. Because I couldn't remember a single damn thing from Dimitri's side of the episode. I had to rewatch this thing like 6 times. I swear to God, you might as well just add some fucking Pal World or Family Guy clips to the side, because that's the only way I'm gonna get some enjoyment out of this episode. That is how boring I found his analysis. Speaking of which, the fight is really, say it with me now, mediocre. I'll admit I did get a chuckle out of the Metal Clang when Guts hit Dimitri with the Dragon Slayer, but outside of the few things I listed, nothing interesting happens. I absolutely hate it that they went with this stupid, stereotypical death battle fight setup instead of something more gothic and dark, you know, something that would fit the tone for both. Kinda like Guts vs. Nightmare with the Dead Forest. Instead, we get this ruby-looking backdrop. Remember when Nightmare vs. Guts had Guts and Nightmare cleaving through boulders and trees while they fought, destroying the environment trying to kill each other? Instead, we get a fight set in the open field with trees and boulders in the backgrounds. It's just like the meteors from Madara vs. Aizen. And the climax with the berserk armor and Dimitri's okay, I don't remember what this is called, so I'm gonna call it the Makima Fart Aura, named after Heihachi's terribly animated rage art. Man, I'm just in a really spiteful mood towards Season 8 today, which was so uneventful. Oh yes, I sure do love my generic off-screen sword-swinging blood splatter screen number 435. At least Guts vs. Nightmare had Guts using the Berserk armor as a last resort instead of popping it like it was a gold Overwatch player with their ultimate mid-match at random. And this goofy super move Dimitri does was just not helping it at all. It looks like he was doing a Mortal Kombat X-ray. The death, while respectful, feels really rushed through, which unfortunately is a common trend this season, with deaths that have good concepts but no time to be executed. And lastly, God Hand fucking sucks. Easily the worst track of the season. How do you listen to the Berserk and Mid-Houses soundtracks and get emo screeching rock? The lyrics are awful and generic as hell, they're piss poorly mixed in with the instrumentals, and it doesn't fit either character. On a funny side note, I can't help but laugh at the track cover, because it's literally just a blatant manga panel of the Sea of Souls photoshopped onto the track art. They didn't even try with this. Because outside of all the Guts things, it straight up just feels like they didn't give a single fuck about this episode. And just simply did it because, well, money. Which, let's be real, that is the reason why they did this episode. And when this episode is in a season with the most unique, charming, and creative episodes the team has ever done, that becomes a problem. Which is ironic because Guts vs. Nightmare, an episode from over 8 years ago, had all 3 of those, despite being one of the most chastised and polarizing episodes in the community. Honestly, I could keep going, but I think I proved my point here. So, let's move on. Yeah, this wasn't getting far up the list either, because in my opinion, Culver's Alex is the definition of existing, which is ironic because of how many people try to gas this shit up like it was the next coming of Christ. Because at the end of it all, Culver vs. Alex is just there. Even after the episode, my interest in both series went from 0 to -0. The episode's analysis felt so bland. Like, not poorly edited or paced, but it felt really mediocre. Most episodes this season have standout jokes from their analyses, good editing, and decent banter with Wiz and Boomstick, but it's just not there. Also, it had a fart joke. For fuck's sake, we're not in Season 8. What's even funnier is that they also bring up Shadow a lot in this episode. Shadow really do begin the crisp breezy treatment by Death Battle. It wasn't helping either that the fight itself was really mid and janky as a motherfucker. Like, whenever Alex runs or slightly sprints, the fucker just isn't moving, or it's looking like he's being dragged across the screen with a mouse. Like, his legs aren't even animated. You have the tentacle al dente scene, which honestly looked really fucking stupid. Cole just no clipping through the air. Seriously, why is he floating? And when it gets to the climax, it just looks so goofy. I get Alex is memed on in the games, especially with Prototype 2, but for God's sakes, at least keep the tone consistent. And it's backed by a really fucking awful rap track. I said this when the episode came out, and I'll say it again. Just because you're doing rap doesn't mean it has to be a rap battle. Can we, like, go back to the days of Fight Like a Devil and Kings of Infinity? You know, when rap tracks were actually cool. It's not even funny in a meme-worthy way akin to Fallen Gods. It's just unfunny in a really cringy edgelord way. But But with that being said, there are a couple things I liked about the animation. The office shot as Alex gets up was cool, and I liked the cool tornado sequence. It's not the best looking, but it's serviceable. And I'll extend that to say I'm at least glad they used the city's environment in this episode, unlike Guts featuring Dimitri, where there is none of that. And the ending shot of Cole was a nice reference, which, again, is more than I can say for the last two entries. It's basically the most existing episode of the season, and hey, look on the bright side. At least Cole vs. Alex jokes are dead, just like their franchises. Poor Sucker Punch. Guess legends do really die, huh?
This world sure isn't perfect, but it's a lot better without you in it, asshole.
Pity! I'll have to craft a new pair of door knockers from your balls! You would think with my track record with the last two Dragon Ball episodes, one being an overhyped PR move, and the other being Trunks vs. Silver, and this being an idea I have stated many times not liking, that I would take the opportunity to chastise every single little detail possible just to get it as low as I could on the list. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I gotta like this episode. It isn't perfect by all means, but it's a very solid episode. The pre-analysis for Frieza is very good. I like that they go into Frieza's creation as a character for his origin story, and I thought the Dragon Ball stuff was all fine and dandy. Megatron's was okay, but I will get back to that later. For the most part, it's alright. The same can be said for the fight, which, goddamn! You know when the fight starts with Megatron Uno reversing Frieza's planet nuke, you know it's just gonna tickle all the right senses. You get Megatron trapping Frieza in the panic room and then ricocheting him off it like he's playing Smash Bros. Megatron using the tank configuration to fly directly at Frieza as he reenacts the Atom Level 3, and a transformation sequence that is so good it's on par with Ganon's form from Season 6. And that's not even talking about things like Megatron's speech belittling Frieza, how Cybertron is just getting completely demolished the entire time, Frieza pulling the fucking planet to sandwich Megatron, and the effects and visuals, which, oh my god, the visuals are incredible. Devil Artemis always has been good at making his fights look nice and pretty, but when he upgraded to Blender, he quite literally unlocked his Ultra Instinct. The models and animation just look so good. Their movements are smooth, well animated, the lighting and shading is also just incredibly good, and it's just nice on the eyes. How is it that this dude is consistently better than a whole ass team of animators? I don't know what they're paying Devil Artemis, but it's just not enough. Take that man to Wendy's, damn it. All this praise, and yet sadly it has major problems. Let's talk about Megatron. More so how they handle him, because he didn't just get manhandled by Frieza, he got butchered by the team along with Transformers in general. For starters, Megatron had a fuck ton of things missing from his arsenal, including but not limited to energy absorption, energy nullification, energy drain, black hole creation, his stealth bomber configuration, black Megatron, his warp Cybertron and devastation weapons, no mention of Transformers physiology or talk about his spark, and his ability to absorb said spark. This makes zero sense to me since they used both devastation and warp Cybertron footage in the episode, leading to another big issue. Just like Megatron's arsenal, there is so much G1 material missing from this episode. And it's not like an itty-bitty obscure thing, like how Megatron is missing a mole on his left ass cheek. No, we're talking straight up canon G1 material completely absent from this episode. No Earth Wars, no Devastation, no Warp Cybertron, and more importantly, no Beast Wars. And Beast Wars is canon to both G1 and the IDW comics. Why the hell was it not used? You could chalk it up to them just not knowing any better, if it wasn't for the fact that they gave Unicron, well, everything. To me, it just comes off as sloppy research and them cherry-picking random things from IDW and the cartoons. Unfortunately, this transfers over to the fight, because while I like the fight a lot, Megatron doesn't do much, other than spamming the fusion cannon. You'd think for a character like Megatron, a bruiser who loves to beat his enemies with his bare hands, who indulges in gladiatorial combat in his free time, would have some scene where he recreates the Broly ass whipping or give him the God of Destruction 3-piece. But nah, he just shoots Frieza a lot. By the way, what happened to the statement about the fusion cannon needing time to recharge after each shot? Did that, like, go away or something? If I had a nickel for every time a Dragon Ball episode had a contradiction in it, I would have 5 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened 5 times. They even tried saying Megatron's higher speed feats weren't not consistent enough in canon. Yeah, okay man. Guess you could say it's a consistent outlier, right guys? And the track sucks. I didn't even want to hate the track. When I heard it the first time, I thought, oh shit, that actually sounds awesome. Then it came out, and it fell off, like me. The lyrics aren't very good, and the mixing with the instrumentals just doesn't sound good at all either. Man, God, this episode to me was so fucking weird to rank. There is a lot of good things and a lot of bad things here. If I had to make an analogy, this episode is the Dark of the Moon of Dragon Ball episodes. A flawed mess that also has a lot of fun and entertaining things about it. But because of those flaws, I can't rank it higher. Solid enough, but man, I wish they didn't drop the ball on this research. Otherwise, it would have been a perfect follow-up to Optimus vs. Gundam. But, I'll take any Transformers content on Death Battle. God knows it's gonna be a while. Oh, what a simply electrifying episode! Truly, nothing bad could come from this. Redditoid moment aside, the first sign that this is going to be not your average season of Death Battle. After the hilarious cuckage of Deku vs. Gon for Season 9, it was inevitable we'd probably get a Hunter x Hunter character. Killua being the most popular and being on the research team's radar for some time now made Killua a shoo-in. And since Killua vs. Misaka was the only idea they showed great interest in, it was an inevitability. But for it to be the third episode of the season, set the tone for what was to come. But for now, we have this. Back when this episode first came out, I was fairly mad towards it. I never liked the idea, mainly because I had preferences for Killua, i.e. Black Star, and I never liked the fight dynamic. It seemed really awkward. Even after I watched the episode and I read Magical Index, I wasn't really sold on it. So did the episode convince me? Obviously not, because it's number 12. But I can safely say it's a fairly solid episode. The analysis doesn't have anything that makes it stand out outside of the Killua Gon thing, and Wiz getting a little too rambunctious over meth. Yeah, Wiz not being the icy hot allegations. Outside of that though, it's fairly standard. The animation though is very fun. It starts how you'd expect it, Killua being a little shitter towards the opposite gender, and him paying the price for it. The sprites for both are great. Killua's custom model looks well made and meshes well with the pre-existing Misaka model. Both have great fluid of motion, allowing for unique framing and cool shots, like the rhythm echo part, the chase to the city, and Godspeed flying above the Titan. And do I need to bring up the effects? The Iron Sand looks great and was used very creatively with Killua's abilities. The electricity looks good, and the hand-drawn stuff with the Sand Twister and the Kaiju were awesome, especially for the Snake and Godspeed shot. It's still really funny that Killua died over an arcade token. And a common trend you're going to be seeing, besides the increase in quality with the episodes, is the constant factor of Werewolf cooking with the most cracked out music for two fictional characters beating the shit out of each other. I swear, outside of Nevermore, he made a resume this year. So why is this so low on the list then? Well, simple. I like the other episodes more. And I'm not a fan of the matchup. That's it. I don't really have any huge negatives towards it. It's just that there were too many good episodes this year to where I could rank it higher. It was nice having Hunter on our show and finally getting Killua on nonetheless, and Magical Index fans got the E. And it only gets better from here. Yeah, I'm surprised this got higher than the former. Even while writing and recording this right now as I speak, I'm shocked that Vader Obito almost cracked the top 10, especially after I gave it a fairly scathing review when it first came out. But some things changed, the season continued, and Vader Obito shimmied its way up the list, because man, I really did sleep on this episode when it first came out. For the most part, it's pretty good. The analysis for Vader and Obito were pretty much on point, mostly. I do wish that they covered Vader's other abilities, his relationship with Luke, and his redemption arc a little more, given that's one of the main reasons this matchup is a thing, and not touching or going into details about Vader's redemption while doing that for Obito felt really jarring. But besides that, it's pretty alright. The true piece of it all though is the animation, and oh boy did it deliver. When you see Devil Artemis on an episode, expect that shit to be fired. The man is the Midas touch when it comes to source filmmaker. Even when comparing it to Frieza vs. Megatron, which is Blender, both look incredible. And the fight is just as good. So many cool scenes. It's already cool thanks to it being, you know, Vader, but the cinematography and the animation just enhances it. Vader walking through the smoke is cool as hell. I like that they had a fake out when Vader shattered Obito's mask, which was followed by Vader using immovability to counter Kamui. The Force and Chakra power clash is sick as shit. And Vader staring down the Ten Tails and using Tuta Midas to absorb the Tail Beast Bomb is easily the rawest shot from any Star Wars episode. But after this, it really doesn't pick up, unfortunately. After the tailed beast bomb, it just decides to drop off, with Vader just not doing anything else in the fight, and not taking full advantage of Obito. You'd think that they have him use some sort of unique Legends ability like Force Maelstrom to repel Obito back, and to show how thorough Obito's regen is in this state, or even use Force Barriers to disperse the truth-seeking orbs. But no, Vader just doesn't do much after the 10 tails until he dies, which sucks. I get the concept to it, but it's so poorly planned and rushed through that it's hard for me to be on board with it, especially since there was an easy way of them making it work. You could have had Obito destroy all of Vader's limbs, forcing him to bleed out on the ground while Infinite Tsukuyomi triggers, making it the last thing Vader sees before he croaks. It doesn't help too that it's followed by a post-analysis that's dated on arrival. Yeah, Vader totally can be affected by truth-seeking orbs and having his soul ripped out. Right. I could chalk it up to the bad timing and Vader's arguments coming out after the research was finished. If they also didn't rewrite Gojo vs. Makima 5 times, and they had the immovability Kong-Wii interaction, which was during and around the time the research period was up. And that's my main issue with this episode. It tries to do all these big overarching things with its fight, but does too little with both in order for it to be worthwhile. The way I see it for a matchup like this, you either have to go all out or keep it safe. And given they themselves said they wanted to go all out with it, the last bit of the fight and Vader's analysis just came off as rushed in my opinion. I still like the analysis, the interactions in the fight are mostly solid, and there's some good concepts here. I think that if it was given enough time to be fleshed out a bit more, it would have cracked the top 10s, but sadly it'll have to settle for the 11th. In words of Vader, I expected more.
Find peace in the next life.
Through the fire and flames of modern 3D episodes, the Champions of Undeath and Rebirth sneaks its way into the 10th spot on the list. Quite a goal for a chosen warrior. This may be quite a shock to some, since when it came out, I wasn't a big fan of it. Not like super positive reaction, but rather a, neat reaction. But at the end of the line, it outclassed both Devil Artie's episodes and the previous 2 Blender fights. And it's clear to see why. Firstly, the analysis for both is incredible, doing everything in its power to try and cover all the cool and fun stuff when it comes to Dark Souls and Skyrim, while also trying to keep the lore as precise and accurate as possible. This also meant making the fight as good as possible choreography-wise, and, well, he succeeded. Looking at the fight, it doesn't look very good. Both characters have a lot of jank to them, and the shading and lighting is pretty fucked. There are some parts of the fight where it's extremely hard to see. Thankfully, I can give the jank a pass this time, since it's with 2 characters who are known for being janky, clunky, and pretty bad when it comes to overall movement. Kind of like another fantasy series episode. And even with these flaws, the fight itself is fantastic. I love the setup to it just being the 2 paths from Dark Souls. Dovahkiin was tasked to put the flame out, while Chosen Undead wanted to keep the flame lit. You get a lot of fun and cool weapons used by both, like Smoke's hammer, the dragon bow, lightning javelins, and a good amount of Dovahkiin's magic, like the storm shout, fire breath, time slow, him summoning a fucking dragon, and the iconic Fusro Da. It's pretty badass. I think we can all agree that Chosen Undead catching 2 bolts of lightning from the sky and throwing them down at Dragonborn is pretty fire. I also love the rolling gag, which is the funniest joke I think they've done for a fight. The arrow to your knee bit, which is then followed by the dick measuring contest with their bows, and given that it's Dark Souls, a lot of death. I love the detail that every time Chosen Undead gets downed, he resurrected, he comes back with a new strategy. It starts with him using ranged weapons, then using magic to close the distance and rush him down, to him trying to Uno reverse Dovahkiin's magic, to just saying fuck it and full sending it, to the point where he sacrifices himself to the flame, attempting to immolate Dovahkiin, which looks visually stunning, and of course, given that this is coming off of Dio vs. Alucard, the post-analysis is thorough, clean, and well organized. A lot of episodes this year do a good job explaining their thought process for why the character won, but this one takes the cake. It's incredibly engaging. The reason I put this above Vader vs. Obito is because the research and presentation. Any matchup Liam has a major passion towards, aka his 2 most wanted ideas, is going to have some of the best writing for death battle episodes. Don't get it twisted, he's fumbled before. In fact, he's fumbled several times actually, but when he gets to write what is essentially his most wanted matchup since he was in college, it's going to be a well thought out and formatted episode. Even if the animation isn't as good looking compared to Devil Artemis's episodes, the formatting and writing of its said fight is very good and outshines a lot of the very obvious flaws to it. So for that, it gets the number 10 spot, a spot fit for a champion.
Let true dark be cast upon the world. Our Lord hath returned.
You can't be afraid to think big.
In the beginning, there were only two, Dovahkiin vs. Chosen Undead, and Ant-Man vs. Atom, a debate lasting a grand total of 2 weeks, a topic still surprisingly debated on to this day. But as this episode proves, big things come in small packages, and Atom is no exception, a matchup long sought after since the days of Season 8, after getting walled not once, but twice, finally living up to the hype it was so promised. Also living up to the tradition of Marvel and DC characters being in the premiere. But goddammit is it charming. The analysis for both, once again, is great. You see a pattern here, right? I like how they treat Hank within the episode. I'm glad he's treated with respect and they take his mental instability seriously rather than making some shitty joke about it. And unlike with Vader, they talk about his redemption and how he bettered himself after all was said and done. And it was fun learning about what ludicrous things Atom has done, given he was very much so an under-researched character. And I like how, despite the differences tone-wise with both analyses, it ends up with a positive, optimistic note, with them showing how both are integral parts of their own universes in their own ways. It really sets the tone for what to expect from this fight, and it doesn't disappoint. Yeah, the sprite work is fairly janky, I'll say that right now, but given it was the first episode of the season and every other sprite episode afterwards looks good, except for Jean vs. Raven, I can give it a pass, because the creativity of the size changing is used to its fullest. Firstly, using perspectives. The scene with the bird weight thingy, the marbles rolling off the desk, and Atom growing to normal size to crush the ant swarm was pretty funny. You also get some cool scenes like Hank growing the car again, Atom destroying Hank's gun by hitting its molecular structure, and Hank destroying his belt and taking him to the overspace. The dialogue is also really good. Like, it's nothing mind-blowing, but it's got the same charm and feel you get from watching the Mightiest Heroes show, the theme of which is also referenced in the track. Not a huge fan of it personally, track-wise, but it's good for the fight. And we can't forget the absolute violent death. It's not the goriest kill they've ever done, but it's up there. Honestly, despite this and Dovahkiin vs. Chosen Undead being equal in quality to one another, I honestly prefer this one. It has some jank, the same jank problem that Fireborn has, but here it seems a lot less blatant in my opinion. I also just find the charm of the episode more attractive. That's mainly a personal preference, rather than it being a factual thing. Pick whichever one you like, it's no big deal to me.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
You know, to this day, I'm still wondering, why was Stitch in that volcano? I'm assuming he got punted there by Ice Cream Guy. Makes sense when you think about it, since that would explain why he gets rocket rammed at the end of the fight. With the idea of size matters not still on the mind, it's about time we talked about the two furry, small, and somewhat murderous aliens, Stitch and Rocket. One that I probably should have seen coming, but you know, hindsight's 2024. Regardless, this episode piggybacks off the last entry. It is a blast. The analyses are very fun. I love Lilo and Stitch. It's one of my favorite Disney movies. Big Speedy was not fucking around when he said that he bodies Madara. And learning the original backstory for Rocket in the comics was fun. It made me appreciate the idea even more. Though I will say I don't really like they didn't give Rocket his own speed feat within the episode, given they gave Stitch one. And I really wish they talked about how smart Rocket actually is. But those are the only complaints I have with the analysis. The fight, though, is, again, really good. I love the sprites they used in the episode. Rocket getting his endgame design was great, and Origin's custom Stitch model looks incredible. I like how expressive it is, as it allows for a lot of goofy poses and faces throughout the fight. And the hand-drawn scene with Moro, while short, also looks great. The banter is fun. Even if 2 out of 3 of Stitch's dialogue lines are just lines he says in the movie, it's used to comedic effect here. The same can be said with a good portion of scenes, like the forest ambush, the warhead into the tidal wave, and the ending. It's still very morbid they killed Ice Cream Guy. And Rocket is, well, Rocket. The sheer amount of Rocket's arsenal on display here is great. The scene in the forest with all the turrets and flamethrowers, dual pistols, a rocket launcher, and the Thanos Buster. Stitch, on the other hand, is more focused on his sheer physicality than his weapons. Granted, we do get to see his dual pistols from the movie at the start, but the most part, it's focused on how much abuse Stitch can take, like his fur-repelling energy, his sheer power over Rocket, him mimicking Sonic the Hedgehog, and him showing off his big brain genius with his rocket blaster spear and surfing on the waves. And the track, absolute bop. Jailhouse Rocket is also a very creative name for this matchup, but despite the appealing nature to all this, there is one issue I have with it. I don't like how most of the fight is just Rocket jobbing Stitch, while Stitch takes most of the abuse until he wins. This is what I like to refer to as Trunk Syndrome, named after the episode that brought this illness to my attention. It just feels weirdly paced when you have Rocket doing all the work while Stitch does the absolute barest minimum, especially when you use the weapon that you specifically state is stronger than Stitch, not kill Stitch in the animation. You see the problem here, right? It's the same reason for why I don't agree with Stitch winning, mainly due to how it doesn't give Rocket his own ship feat, and they also gloss over how smart Rocket is. At the same time, I think it does a somewhat decent job explaining why they buy Stitch winning. It's very polarizing to me. Overall, I would say it has flaws, but nothing egregious or stand-out-ish. It's a good episode that does what it sets out to do. Now, the real question is if Space Hawaii is still around after Galactus vs. Unicron.
Love this part. Could have been some flicks right about now.
No talking during the movie.
Man, Gojo really is the master of Riz. Dude has women killing for him. One could say he's the Rizologist. When the episode was announced, I was fairly shocked they were doing it now rather than later. But at the same time, I think it was a fairly obvious choice. When you have two of the biggest characters from two of the biggest modern shonen series of the past few years fighting each other, it's going to add up to free views. At the time of its announcement, I didn't really have a big of a connection to either. The only Jujutsu Kaisen stuff I have consumed are some clips of Gojo being a troll, Sugna being a menace to society, Maharaga, and RG33 clips. So as you can tell, I'm very cultured in Jujutsu Kaisen. As for Chainsaw Man, at the time I didn't know much, and then I started reading it a month later. Generally one of the few modern shonen series I like. Fuck Makima though. Jokes aside, I'm glad she got splattered in the episode. The one bet I'm glad to be wrong on. Anyways, I can't really comment much on the analyses, but from what I heard from people who do know both series, aka this fucking monkey, there are a few issues with the research and, of course, them posting out with Gojo spoilers, which is one thing I do know and agree with. They really should have just talked about the Sukuna fight, since they literally show panels of it. But I will gladly comment on this fight, because it is very fun. The goal for this fight was to make Gojo as obnoxious as possible, and I'd say they succeeded. The fight starts with them watching Jack vs. Afro. I see Makima has good taste in death battle. I wish others had the same refined taste. And it's a nice nod to the fact that Gojo's official voice actor, Kaiji Tang, voiced Jack in the episode. Lots of fun Easter eggs here, like the past losing combatants in the background, and the date for the fight taking place on December 6th, the day Samus vs. Boba Fett came out. Gojo shows up and starts talking over the movie and being as rude as he can, drinking her soda and eating her popcorn. But it's very much in line with the laid-back Gojo, leading to a cool transition shot from hand-drawn to sprites with both Makima and Gojo. Gojo uses both blue and red on her as a poor soul then gets vaporized on the toilet, just like what Boomstick said in the analysis. It's then followed up with Gojo taking the blindfold off as Makima throws multiple control demons at Gojo, including the Sword Devil, a well-animated Fox Devil into a cool hand-drawn Gojo shot, the Flamethrower Devil, and the Angel Devil. I will say, besides the Fox Devil, I wish we got to see the demons instead of them being silhouettes. Obviously for budget and timing reasons they couldn't do it, but I think you can argue it was also a stylistic approach with the darkened mall. Anyways, after Makima does the funny finger gun meme, Gojo ends up on the ground with a chain in his head at the mercy of Makima, until he decides to reverse curse technique her own one-liner back at her, and domain expansion, vaporizing her and all her demons in one shot, ending the fight with the incident report filing. I think it's a good time to bring up how well animated all of the hand-drawn stuff looks and why Moro was one of the best things to happen and to be added to the sprite team. I've praised his stuff numerous times throughout the video, but here he shines the brightest. Every scene feels well crafted and animated to perfection. While I have a lot of praise for this episode, there are two small issues I have with the fight. Makima's laughing scene, which feels really out of character for her, and the scale of the fight not going past the mall's boundaries, which I get because of budget, but for a Chainsaw Man and a Jukai fight, two series unanimous with its high scale action scenes not escalating in scale is a major letdown. And I'm not a fan of the track's vocals. They just feel really off to me. At least the instrumentals are good, so that's that's a plus. Honestly, that's all I can really say about it. I can't really comment on the research or the debate because, again, I'm not in depth with either. At least not Gojo. But even with all that, I still enjoyed the fight and I enjoyed the episode. And I really hope we get to see more of this in the future.
Peter. The horse is here.
A talking triangle taking me on. That's a
I bet you didn't expect that. A matchup I've been fairly lukewarm on, didn't like the debate of, and a franchise I greatly despise. Also, My Little Pony fans fucking suck. Yet somehow skirted itself to the top half of the list. How fitting it is then that it was in the second half of the season. Then again, with how well put together this episode is, I can actually believe it being here, unlike Cole vs. Alex. Everything in this episode feels bizarre, in all the right shapes and ways, because the episode is fun as shit. The analysis plays into the bizarre, crazy, and fourth wall breaking aspects of the two characters, with them breaking into the analyses in the same vein as Deadpool in episodes past, even going as far as to argue and mess around with the analysis box while they're talking about their feats and strengths. Also, this fourth wall break with Discord with Ben and Chad is one of the funniest jokes they've done, and that's just the pre-fight. The fight is, well, weird and wacky, with a start that just hooks you right in immediately via Bill conquering the horse stables and making himself at home, with Discord the last thing standing, and thus tomfoolery begins. Discord buries Bill an ice cream and cracks a pun. Bill fucks with the perspectives as he tries to murder Discord. They tussle through a bunch of weirdness bubbles, giving us some cool alternative animation styles. Oh, and hey, they even make fun of Death Battle fans. All leading to Discord entering Bill's mind, trying to end him like the show did. But then after a short fight, with some great hand-drawn shit I might add, he then rips Discord out of him, leading to the ultimate 4G chess move. Discord tricks Bill into leaving Ponyville and thus ending Weirdmageddon. But he still dies, sacrificing himself to keep Bill away from his home. Yeah, the ending is fucking wild. The fact that Bill still lost even though he won is absolutely hilarious. A fitting end as he tries to make a deal with the audience. One thing that I absolutely love with the animation is how many Easter eggs are in this episode. From references to their franchises like the Dipper Mabel ponies, the obligatory Columbo Easter egg, other community members, foreshadowing future episodes, other series like Bendy and Cuphead, hell, even past death battles. It's an episode you can just look back on and find something new to like about it. And that's how you know you've made a baller-ass episode. If I can go back to an episode of days past of the show and find something new to it, you know you've made a certified hood classic. And the post-analysis is very solid. Again, I'm not going to comment on the debate because I fucking hate it, but I think it's a good explanation as to why they buy Bill winning. Also, I fucking told you guys so. If you know, you know. And its ending with the classic reverse dialogue is a nice big cherry on the giant ice cream pile. I don't really have much else to say about it. The fight is good, the analysis is great, the Easter eggs were cool, and the post-analysis was solid. Especially for the last time that My Little Pony will ever be on Death Battle.
No big deal. I've done this once already. Wanna make a deal?
Starting off the top 5, we have an episode that you could say is fantastic. Rick vs. the Doctor rounds this season up as the designated sci-fi episode. I mean, hey, we've had Vikings, knights, assassins, warlords, aliens, demons, talking dogs, and even ants. Why not give Grandpa the keys for a week? What could go wrong? Surprisingly nothing. Because this episode literally has no issues, all but smooth sailing through the cosmic nebula of the universe. I don't know what was worse for them, researching Doctor Who's 60 years of content, or having to watch Rick and Morty. Truly horrors unknown. The Doctor has probably seen it all too. Rick vs. Doctor has a lot to unpack. The analysis for both is, once again, very good. Rick's analysis mostly focuses on his relationship with his family, while also going over why he's such a grumpy douche, peeling the layers away under his lab coat, while also explaining all the cool things he's done. The Doctor's analysis mainly focuses on Tennant to Capaldi's run, with some others' errors sprinkled in, but its main focus is on how the Doctor became, well, the Doctor, and how this goofy British man with a telephone booth can kill you in an endless number of ways, without lifting a singular finger. Now that's science. A sentiment that translates over to the fight. Gonna say this now, the hand-drawn and 3D environment look incredible. The Doctor was translated over to Rick and Morty style extremely well, and the other hand-drawn stuff like the Weeping Angels, the Sun, and the Regeneration all look great. It looks so good. From the little things like the dent in Rick's ship to all the little cameos in the fight. They're mainly past death battles and combatants, but we do have some nice Screaming Sun goof and the Weeping Angels, like I said earlier. I will say, I wish we got someone like Rose or Donna as one of the Doctor's companions in the episodes to coincide with Morty's inclusion, but it's not that big of an issue, because the rest of the fight is great. It starts with the ship fight, them going through time with the TARDIS and Rick's ship clashing onto it, which fucking looks awesome by the way, leading to a spoon sword fight within an arcade, to the Doctor getting upper hand over Rick's tech with the sonic screwdriver, to Rick clones destroying the TARDIS, and then to one of my favorite shots in the entire fight, in one of my favorite character interactions. The Doctor thinking about using the D-Mat, contemplating forsaking his values for one person, with the climax being Rick showing no remorse for what he's about to do, while the Doctor stays true to his character to the bitter end, with him grilling Rick for being, in layman's terms, a basic bitch, hacking his portal gun and blaster before regenerating, destroying the TARDIS's interior. Rick tries to escape but is clearly backed into a corner. So, in a last-ditch effort, he fires a DNA dart into the Doctor, but because he's British, piercing weapons only do half the damage to him. Rick then forgoes all his other gadgets and tries to use the D-Mat against the Doc, only for him to do big brain moves and simply just do a 180-degree turn, erasing Rick in the process, traveling back to the start of the fight as the Doctor compliments Morty on his ship's interior, giving him some advice, and boom goes Rick. What makes Rick vs. Doctor such a standout amongst the other episodes mentioned here so far is how they go into explaining both characters and how completely polar opposite they are. On the surface, yeah, Rick and Doctor are basically the same character, but when digging deeper, they couldn't be so different in terms of their ideologies. Across the vast infinite multiverse, Rick believes that no life, big or small, is important, and caring about it all is just a meaningless waste of time with a world of infinite possibilities. This is cleverly shown with the music used in his analyses. The music used at the start is a futuristic techno melody, but then it swaps to a more somber and slowed down tune when they talk about his past, giving a more depressed vibe to it. In contrast, the Doctor cares for all life in the universe, despite having a cold, tragic past as the War Doctor. Again, this is reflected in the music they choose. When the War Doctor and Time War are discussed, it has a melancholy style tune as the background music, but then it perks up when they bring up the Doctor's views on life, believing no life is too big or small to be meaningless, and it shows what lengths the Doctor will go to save every single one of them, regardless if it's that impactful. I may be 4D chessing something here, but it probably doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things, but these little details give the episode so much rewatch potential and just adds more to an already solid episode. Hell, they kept the Doctor true to his nature throughout the entire fight by not having him hit Rick once, and not having him kill Rick himself. Rick's downfall was his own doing. How ironic, and very fitting for Rick to die that way. And another great detail to this episode. Its writing is fantastic. It keeps both in character while adding to the interaction, and the way they use Doctor's tech with Rick's gadgets genuinely makes it one of the most interesting fights they've done, giving it the top 5 spot in my book. Remember kids, don't be a cynic, unless you're reviewing Death Battle. The vast cosmos offer many great questions. Is a taco a sandwich? If the universe is a simulation, why aren't there more elephant seals? Is water wet? Why is this episode so good? I may not have answers for the first 3 questions, but I can definitely answer that last one. I think we can all agree that this is an idea that no one saw coming from a mile away, at least from a Marvel vs. DC perspective and what the season had already brought us, since there are already a lot of high-bar Marvel vs. DC matchups that you would think would have taken priority over this one. You know, Moon Knight vs. Azrael, Dormammu vs. Trigon, Bullseye vs. Deadshot, etc., etc. Many assumed one of these would have been up the bat next, but nah, Season 10 works its magic yet again, and showing the pinnacle of greatness. Getting Manhunter vs. Cipher added such a rejuvenating experience to the season, especially after the 2 complete slogs we got before it. It was a slow 4 weeks, but Cipher vs. Manhunter was the gas added to the cosmic engine of Season 10. The analysis for this episode is what I wanted out of a breakdown of these 2 characters, starting with their powers and feats and then going into a complete deep dive into their backstories and how their characters were shaped, explaining how they both suffered from survivor's killed after their entire race was genocided. Despite the backstories having obvious differences to each other, you can understand why these two were paired so much. I will say though, even if the analysis for both of them is great and has some really funny jokes and visual gags, Server Boomstick is the worst joke in the season. It's so cringy. But besides that, the Jean Grey doormat joke was funny, and Boomstick trying to pronounce Mr. Mixoplex was also a good gag, all building up to a uniquely stylized fight, both starting as detectives in a black and white office, giving off an old 50s, 60s sci-fi movie vibe, and the track having a very similar feel to it, while also adding a lot of emotional impact as well. This though is where the setup and fight differs greatly from other episodes. Neither one of them is trying to kill each other. They are just simply trying to figure out why one or the other summoned them to this location. This is why a lot of the attacks in the fight don't have a feeling of impact or force to them. Both are just trying to understand the predicament they are in. It pisses me off that people say that this episode is bad because it didn't have a standard punch-happy slapfest most death battles start with. Man, I really hate it when the two characters who are known for their vast intellects and mental-based attacks don't slapbox each other in a fight to the death. Truly, it must be a travesty to some. To give some leniency though, there is some of that within the end of the fight, when Silver Surfer grabs Manhunter in the sick-ass 3D sprite shot. But outside of that, it's fairly tame for how it deals with its power interactions. You have them trying to mentally dominate one another, but then you have Manhunter transforming into a giant space dragon, and then cutting a small moon in half, leading to Surfer freezing him over and dragging him to the sun, which is then followed by Surfer catching his heat vision, throwing him towards the sun, and then yeeting the energy blast at him in a clean as hell one take. It's very good, and some of the best sprite work they have ever done. And since the power interactions are fairly light, that means most of the animation will be more focused on framing, camera work, and effects. So many cool camera shots, from the Fantastic Four reference to the old-fashioned arcade shooter scene, to Surfer avoiding the dragon, the cool 360 shot, the simple but badass shot of Manhunter overcoming his fear of fire, to even this awesome shot of the sun expanding. And of course, the effects are astounding. From the particles on the sun, the power of Cosmic, and Manhunter disintegrating is all well done. All of this collapsing towards a falling action that can only be summed up as bittersweet, with both subtly acknowledging that they are in a death battle and that the only outcome possible is where one of them dies, ending when the sun expanding finally dims out, leaving nothing but a vacant space, Surfer's thoughts, and the end card. That's the reason why I put this episode so highly above others, because it shows that Death Battle's team can do subtle and well thought out characterization. It shows that they can put the key jangling bullshit aside and give more serious, well thought out interactions between two established characters. There's no cringy MCU dialogue, no stupid one-off gags, and most importantly, no pointless shit. It keeps the clash of these two characters simple, clean, and consistent, even when they have to do something that is completely out of character for the two, aka the falling action and the death. They are still in character, which fits both of these two, elevating this above all other Marvel vs. DC matchups that have come before it. Victory comes with no certain satisfaction. I may never understand why people put it so low, if the grievances are truly justified, but perhaps there is something worthy in the discussion.
Something beyond my understanding.
I am Oblivion.
How amusing is it that the start of the season began with the two smallest heroes, relatively speaking, and ended with quite literally two of the biggest characters in all of fiction. It would only be appropriate that the one episode that would top Surfer vs. Manhunter would be none other than the big, mean, galaxy-chucking machine that is Galactus. Cause, you know, he's his boss. The final boss of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, with the most long overdue and awaited episode in the show's entire lifespan, the modern day Thanos vs. Darkseid. Only it took twice as long and was built up since the actual dawn of the universe. Given that it is number 3 on the list, yeah, it was definitely worth the wait. Just like the other matchups from this season, this analysis mostly deep dives into the complete contrast of both characters, while also showing the vast amount of similarities between the two. How both are monstrous forces in nature, not bound by anything other than their hunger. Finally getting to see what a true abstract like Galactus can do was such a breath of fresh air. Even if some of it was the same stuff we've seen a dozen times now, it was also fun to see the amount of bullshit Unicron has done throughout Transformers, along with the abilities of the two. It's just great stuff. Of course, with the scale of this matchup, you would need to pull all the stops out for it. But I didn't think that would mean pulling some necromancy shit and reviving the damn in-house team for it. Maybe they threw a Happy Meal into the cages this time. It would explain the Happy Meal joke and why the fight looks so goddamn good. Fun fact, this is actually planned for Season's 8 finale, but had several technical issues with it. Yeah, I can definitely see why. With everything looking so clean and polished, almost making it feel like an indie film. Planets shine, every particle is given detail in its own right, and every piece of Unicron feels ripped right out from the movies. Hell, the Galactus model is just the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 one, edited. That alone is cool. The fight is, well, what would you expect? It takes the concept of two planet-sized beings and uses it to its fullest, throwing planets, suns, and even galaxies at each other. I got a chuckle out of the Unicron grabbing Galactus' helmet and kneeing him in the face, and later collapsing a star and hitting him with a fucking black hole. Galactus countering with the power of Cosmic and then hitting Unicron with a left hook. Unicron compressing the fucking universe into a new body. All looks incredible. The banter is just awesome. I don't know why, but anytime they do a Marvel villain that dabbles in rhymes or fucking moon rune speak, it's just the rawest shit ever.
Beg not for mercy, behold blackening skies. Against mine chaos, even gods will die.
They somehow managed to capture that in tenfold with this episode, all brought together by a track that complements its cinematic feel greatly. Honestly, there's not much else I need to say about it. Despite it being in the top 3 of my list, I don't really have a lot to say about this episode, because there's not much else I need to say about it. It's good at what it does, and it gives me what I wanted out of this matchup. Two planet-sized beings fighting over the last slice of pizza in the fridge. And while it does get outdone by the other 2 episodes left, I can safely say that this episode will go down as a Death Battle classic. Cheers to Transformers, because Death Battle has heard our pleas.
Almighty Galactus must now feed.
You know, I was gonna say this was a step back from all the cosmic fights we've had so far, but then you remember that they turned Scooby into a Baki character. Who would win? 2 gods of death and destruction, or 2 good boys? The world may never know. Because, you know, it got fucking destroyed. Just like most episodes this year, Scooby-Doo vs. Courage was a pleasant surprise. But one that I was both optimistic and hesitant on. Mainly due to last year's joke episode having probably one of the biggest tonal whiplashes within an episode, and not taking advantage of it being a joke episode. I won't go into detail here about SpongeMan, so if you want to hear more about it, I'll link my video in the description about it. But basically, I was worried that they were going to repeat the issues with it last year. Thank God I was wrong. Scooby vs. Courage is nothing like that shit. Playing it straight and giving the best treatment to cartoon's most iconic and mightiest mutts. Analyses-wise, both are given the utmost respect when it comes to their characters. One of the biggest issues with SpongeBob vs. Aquaman was how it treated the 2 characters differently, with it giving SpongeBob every benefit of the doubt in the book while treating Aquaman like he's second fiddle. Here, they treat both Scooby and Courage as they would with any other set of combatants, respecting their stories and power sense with no speciality. Will say, I'm not a fan of the Mama Boomstick gag. I thought it was mean-spirited, but it's a very small thing, with a episode that has a whole lot of good things to it. This respect is passed over to the actual animation. I say it's an animation because I really wouldn't call it a fight, more so an interaction between the 2, with both Scooby and Courage running from a mass claymation creature that's obviously Eustace. And can I just say how good the hand-drawn stuff is? Like, goddamn, Lewis and his team were making some gourmet shit with this one. It's insane to think, too, that all of this was with multiple animators. Absolutely blowing my mind as to how far the hand-drawn fights have come. Anyways, Scooby and Courage run away from the giant monster, and I love the fact that this fight is just about them trying to figure out who is gonna deal with the creature, with both of them throwing random bullshit at each other and getting into all sorts of zany antics. This includes a thumb wrestling contest, the classic door gag with a Courage spin to it, the Zabriskie Triangle, which breaks the 4th wall in Wiz and Boomstick's monitor, Courage getting Computer to help him with the God Bone, if my name isn't Chad James. Oh, and then there's just one more thing. fucking precursor to Galactus vs. Unicron, and an Ashura's Wrath reference with a ripped Scooby throwing hands at Earth, with Courage screaming to counter it. What the actual fuck? It's some goofy shit, and I would be lying if I said that this wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's a good balance of wacky hijinks that reference and balance both sides of each series. The best part of it, though, is that no one dies. Well, except Eustace, but I'm sure he's fine. And nothing of value was lost. And that's without mentioning the baller track that Theirwolf concocted for this episode. It feels like something straight out of What's New Scooby-Doo. This episode is living proof that they listened to criticism. They took all of the critiques and gripes that everyone had from the last joke episode they did and ironed them all out in this one. No calling Scooby a bitch or treating Courage like a chump. No out-of-pocket moments with the fight, like Scooby or Courage having a mental breakdown or whatever. And no breaking the pace of the fight for a cringy crying bit. It's straight to the point and stays true to the very end. No pussying out here. Just a mad dog running amongst. All I can really say is, well, you know. Throughout this year, we've seen a wide variety of unique and different matchups. Everything ranging from animes, new and old, franchises hardly used, and a lot of heavily requested ideas becoming a reality. Truly feeling like an all-star lineup, as DJ Tiki put it. And an all-star lineup wouldn't be complete without one of its biggest pairings in all of Versus. Goku vs. Superman running it back has always been a controversial and polarizing topic within the community as a whole, with some thinking it would be cool as shit to get a remake of a classic episode, especially with all the new Ultra Instinct stuff and more of Clark's powers being used, like his Theta State avatar and actually seeing the Super Flare this time, unlike its piss poor predecessor. The sequel, I mean, not the first one. The original is still a classic episode. And then you have the other group who believe it's stupid to do it again because it won't change the outcome of the fight, so it makes the rematch quote-unquote pointless. Even though that applies to every rematch they've ever done, Goku and Superman having so much new shit they use in a fight, Death Battle evolving greatly since Season 2 with its research and animation, the second one being complete embarrassment to not only Death Battle but to both Goku and Superman as characters, and Goku fighting Superman a third time would literally be the most in-character thing for him to do. A strongest opponent like Clark would force Goku to go all out and use everything he has. But I'm getting ahead of myself because goddamn, everything about this episode is perfect. The analysis for both are fucking incredible. It covers both characters down to every finite detail you can think of and adds extra to it. Goku getting comped to me is still a little weird, but I think with this being the last time Goku will be on the show, it's perfectly fine. Plus, it was just used as supporting evidence rather than fully using heroes. Also, it redeems them from how bad their past usage of heroes was. And Clark has my favorite analysis of not just the season, but in the series as a whole, showing there's more to it than just tank shit. We even got the rawest panel in any comic book ever within the analysis. It's awesome and well paced. And that's just the analysis. The fight is a spectacle. Outsourcing it to David was one of the best decisions they could have made. It looks incredible, down to even the smallest of pixels in each particle effect, to the facial expressions and characterizations of both. I love how expressive Goku and Superman are in this fight. It adds so much charm to it. Seeing Goku and Superman smile as they fight alone made me smile, showing how much genuine care and effort went into making this episode. They even managed to put the world made of cardboard bit into it. Also, these are Fortnite models. They actually use Fortnite models. I am completely flabbergasted. All this lends itself into the choreography. It's a bit sad Soups doesn't use his other powers like the Ice Breath, but we did get phasing and the Super Flare, so I'd say it evens out. What's a really cool and interesting detail about the animation is the fight itself reflects what their research says, with Goku and Soups being similar in speed, while Goku dominates in hand-to-hand combat whenever he gets in close, while Clark's abilities and raw strength are seen overriding Goku's own powers and abilities. Like at the start when he's throwing Clark for a loop with his combat prowess, or when Clark starts to get serious and hits Goku so hard he shatters reality for a second and knocks him out of Super Saiyan Blue. Another Another thing I want to say was intentional, but is more of a tinfoil thing. Goku starts in Super Saiyan, then Blue, and then Ultra Instinct. I believe this was meant to represent the 3 versions of this episode. Super Saiyan being the original, Blue being, 2, and Ultra Instinct representing the modern day episode. Again, that's probably just a tinfoil, and it was mostly done probably because of budget, but it would be cool nonetheless. All culminating in a fight that continues to grow in scale until a raw as fuck climax and falling action, with Superman going all out on Ultra Instinct as he tries his hardest to hit Goku. Mountains are shaved, craters are created, leading to what I consider the best sequence of events ever in any episode. I cannot stress enough how fucking hyped me and my friends were when we saw Superman start flying through suns, with Goku finally being able to launch everything he has at Clark as a final stand, which is absolutely the best power-up scene we have ever gotten. And I do mean everything, by the way. Kamehameha, Kaioken, Ultra Instinct's avatar, leading to the original climax that's basically the Dragon Fist versus the Infinite Mass Punch, only juiced up, which destroys and resets the universe, including Goku. I swear to God, this entire episode is just a pure adrenaline rush from start to end, with a post-credit style ending to this fight, with Goku dead and Supes praising him for how strong he's become. It's a better version of what 2 tried to do, and fleshes it out way more, with the Shattered Dimensions showing alternate versions of them, which is very charming and fits some fun Easter eggs in, like Kurt Scooby, Kingdom Come vs Old Man Goku, Kai vs Justice League Unlimited, and even a JoJo reference. They treat it with respect and keep both in character, which again, that respect is fitted into the analysis, giving Goku props for his fighting skills and even making them equal speed, which they did on purpose to once again show respect to the characters. I use this word a lot, respect. A lot of episodes this year have shown great care when it comes to its characters and how they get represented. After all, if your favorite character got the short end of the stick, wouldn't you be upset? The reason I bring this up now is because I don't think any other episode in the show's history compares to the level of care and passion put into Goku vs Superman. This episode was 3 years in the making, and it shows. No stone is unturned and no minute feat or detail is skipped over. But the biggest reason why this episode ranks above all others is because this episode gave me something no other episode has ever done. It gave me optimism and hope. Optimism that Death Battle and the Versus community will continue to get better and evolve with time, and hope that Death Battle will come back stronger and better than ever. I'm the Grand Bull, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.